You know, you make me think of a scenario that I could say probably that happens in a lot of marriages. Let's
Mm,
say a guy, he wants to be the man, he has the job, he's doing X, Y, and Z, thinking he's holding it down. All of a sudden, something needs to be fixed in the house, and he, takes care of many things, but certainly not everything. He may not be always that reliable. So then he finds out that his wife called another guy to come over there and fix it. Or like, let's say the car. Instead of, she's like, hey, honey, my car's making this noise. Honey, my car's making this noise. Honey, my car is making this noise. And then finally, he's like, where's your car? She's like, oh, I took it over there to Bob. Bob's actually working on it now. And now he's like, I'm supposed to be the man working on your car, especially if she say it a certain way. And now he's mad when I think that's a good point you make. You wouldn't have trusted Pippen at that time. The wife doesn't trust him because number one, you aren't a man that do what you say you're going to do. And then number two, sometimes women do this as a little bit of a test. I guess Pippen acting the way he did is where men fail that test all the time, where we get mad and be like, no, I'm not talking to you because you went to another dude to do X, Y, and Z, which makes you definitely look like a punk in front of your wife, instead of maybe being like Jordan and you'd be like, well, but I got the money to go ahead and pay Bob, so you really know who the man is, don't you? And you just, boop, keep it moving.
that's kind of cold, man, because at that point she passes the ball to you and you let it slip out of bounds. At
Yes.
that point,
Yes.
damn. Yeah, that's pretty cold, man.
It is. And the other part on Jordan, and can you expound on this one? Because I see
Mm,
Jordan, I respect him a lot more now, like you said, looking at how he has this will, this determination to take his team to win. And in a way, I look at that also in terms of a relationship. At the end of the day, Jordan will blow it all up in order to win. And are we as men willing to do that inside of our relationships? Are we willing to
mm.
maybe blow it all up in order to win? If I go back, matter of fact, another book I can recommend, I had this one near me, No More Christian Nice Guy. Again, no Amazon affiliate link. But as a dude coming out of the church, I remember, the way the church is always going to bring you up as God hates divorce, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that you end up seeing in there, the worst thing, could you imagine telling your woman, I don't care what you do to me, I'm never going to divorce you? And how do you think, number one, she's going to look at you? And number two, how do you think she's going to treat you? Now, of course, if you always brought up in a mindset as that women are more moral than men, then your mindset is going to be, well, she's going to actually respect the fact that I would
Mm-mm.
never divorce her. But in reality, it's not going
Man,
to work that way. And so when I look at Jordan, I have to wonder in my own relationship, and I will hope other guys think about their relationships. Does your girl know you willing to win at all costs? That means with, or that may even mean without her. And I have to think that inside of a relationship, if you are going to be the kind of guy that's going to be more like Pippen, where you still going to expect to be rewarded for your good deeds from her, you're going to be left out, just like Pippen was. When I think maybe more men need to adopt that Jordan, they adopt their own form of the Jordan rule, and they say, we are going to win. I'll take care of you because here's the thing: Pippen got rings still off of Jordan's leadership. Paxson got rings off of Jordan's leadership. Horace Grant, except all these guys got rings off of Jordan. So he still took care of everybody. You just knew it had to be Jordan's way. Are many men willing to do that in a relationship?
first of all, getting back to your point, your first analysis, your first scenario, what kind of simp tells his woman, no matter what you do, I'll never divorce you? It's like you got a full deck of cards and you gonna just lay it all on the table?
It's the way we talk.
How what that gives her free reign to do whatever and know that you're still gonna be there. That's the baby face game to me.
But she never would because she's a godly or a religious woman. I won't say just even from a Christian point of view. I would probably say most religions. She wouldn't because she's a moral, religious woman. She wouldn't do that to you.
Okay, then, so you playing a devil's advocate right now because I know that James Style doesn't think in this manner.
Or not anymore. Not anymore.
Man, then how can I address that point? Because I don't necessarily. God, I don't know if that's necessarily the right comparison, because at that point, you're saying that the guy, if he's laying his card on the table saying, look, I don't care what you do, I'm going to be here until the end. I don't care what you do. I'm never going to divorce you. That's not the type of person that I see Jordan come across as.
I'm
And they was
sorry.
talking about, I was listening to somebody else in another YouTube video where they went into, he's punched his own teammates in practices. There's something where he bust Steve Kerr in the mouth. He punched, I think it was Winnington in the chest. He's had physical altercations
Yes.
with his own teammates.
Yes.
And at that point, he's saying to his teammates, look, if you can't come up to where I'm at, then you can hit the door.
And my
He's
bad,
not
because I might,
saying I'm going to
let me just say real
go
quick,
ahead.
my bad. I might have got rolling on the wrong end. That I mean it the opposite. If anything, I think Pippen is almost like that, because the guy that lays all of his cards out on the table like that is expected to be rewarded for his goodness. And that's kind of how Pippen would be, where Jordan is like, I'll blow all this up because I'm all about winning and taking care of me. So that's actually the
And
way I know.
then it's like, man, it's almost like you can just see it's like Scottie Pippen wants to be where Jordan is.
Mm.
And it's like, it didn't happen. Jordan, he brought everything. He showed that he's willing to win at all costs. And, Jordan didn't get those huge contracts until those last few years of his deal. But
Mm.
the point is, that team was not going to part from Jordan, whereas they was talking about parting with Scottie Pippen.
Mm.
So he
Mm.
still, even though they knew he was Robin to Jordan's Batman, they still felt like he was a person that we can win without Scottie, even though that's not necessarily so, right? But this is how I'm seeing Jordan. If we was to put him in a marriage and say he's going to be the same way in a marriage that he is on the court, he's going to be like, look, I'll replace you and get somebody else.
Okay.
That's how I see Jordan. If you want to take that into a relationship. Now, I'm not going to comment on what happened between him and Juanita because I don't know all of the details in there, but I'm just saying, if we're going to put Jordan's his motives and the way he carries himself on the court into a relationship, you are replaceable.
Well, then let me go here for a second. I'm glad you brought that up because I did have this near. Um, and this is a winning mentality. This is the kind of winning mentality I think that maybe dudes need to have in their relationships. First of all, I am not hating on Juanita, as you can see here. Not hating on
Mm.
Juanita at all. But
Mm-hmm.
Juanita right now, I think, is 61 years old, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when they got
Mm-hmm.
a divorce probably going on 20 years ago. So they probably got a divorce in she was in her early to mid 40s then. So, dig it. They
Dang,
were
has it been that
divorced.
long?
She received
Okay.
168 mil. And so, yep,
Wow.
they filed in 2002.
Dang. 18
So,
years ago. I didn't know that.
yes. Now, and then I guess they really got the split 4 years later, blah, blah, blah. But so let's just say for all intents and purposes, it was done around 2002. So she was in her low 40s, mid to low 40s, right? And so you see that and you say, wow, man, Michael Jordan lost because this dude, I think the way this was even titled was among the most expensive divorces in history. So it's like, man, Jordan really lost. But then I flip over here, right? Let me go back on, let me find the one I had with Scotty.
And then, okay, well, here's a question right here. Because we can look at it and say, okay, $168 million, that's more than 98% of the people, 99.8% of the people in the world is going to ever see in their lifetime. But we can argue that Michael Jordan's star continued to rise. Even after he retired, this dude is still bringing in mad money. So $168 million to Michael Jordan still is like, what?
Exactly.
I'll make it back.
Because his shoes, hey, I don't buy Jordans, I don't buy LeBrons, I don't buy Kanye, I don't buy none of those shoes. So let me say that off the rip. I don't
Me
have any
either.
idea how much they're going for. All I do know is when a Jordan shoe comes out, we still know about it. So I have to believe Michael Jordan is still making a ton of money off of his shoes, and the dude hasn't played basketball in 20 plus years. And so this is, I almost have to say, a winning mentality because yeah, you let your other wife go, whatever, you pay her off. I lose half of my stuff. Am I gonna cry about it? No, I'm gonna go get me a babe that's in, actually, I think by the time they probably got married, she was in her 20s. Because I think she's like 34 or something now. Whenever this is dated, yeah, it's dated recently. So I think she's.
And then on top of that, think about that for a minute. Okay, so the first one walks away with $168 million, and it's like, so what? I'm gonna go get I'm not gonna say a better model. I'm not necessarily saying she's better than Juanita. I'm saying, okay, she's got less mileage, obviously, and he made more money. But I don't know how much Jordan is worth now, but let's just estimate he's worth between 750 million and $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
What did he really lose?
and hold on, because a lot of people be like, well, yeah, but he had kids. This woman pumped out some of his babies too. So I mean, he replaced the kids. So I mean, not replaced them, but that wasn't the end all and be all. To me, that's what I mean by I am going to win. And it seems like we see Jordan saying, I'm going to win in my relationships as well. I don't know if we can say we see the same thing with Scottie Pippen.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I don't see, if I was to go back and roll back the clock, and let's say let's choose a song. I'm not saying this perfectly fits the Jordan scenario because I don't know what was going on in that relationship. But the way he played it, the way he walked away, I'll go get another one. It was almost like, you dismissed. Remember Orange Juice Jones?
Right? That coat.
You dismissed. You know, silly rabbit tricks are made for kids. Don't you know that? So it's like, again, I don't know. I can't put Scottie Pippen in that same scenario because this is going to lead me to actually go and do some research on how those two things played out because I don't know enough about either of those relationships. Jordan and his wife and Pippen and his wife. I don't know, but I'm willing to bet Scottie Pippen didn't come out as good as Michael Jordan did.
And that's the catalyst behind why I wanted to talk about this, because it's amazing that we watch how these guys were on the basketball court and the type of teammates they were. And it makes me wonder, is this how they handled their relationship game as well? It's almost like talking to dudes. We all guys hang around with dudes growing up. We talk to men that act like they the stuff, let's say at work, or they act like they the stuff out on the street or whatever. But then when you really ask them something, they're like, well, happy wife, happy life. And then you realize a lot of these dudes are almost like paper gangsters. They are just real, they real G's to other men or in the workplace. But then when you're really talking to them, they in a sexless marriage. Or when you're really talking to them, their wife is banging a relative or one of their boys or whatever the case is. And then you realize, I guess you're not as much of a G as you acted like you were. Why is that? And so I think now that we look at Pippen, it's like now you see how he operated as a teammate. If this is the kind of guy that he was in relationships, and again, I'm going to relate it to me, I could probably maybe understand why some things turned out the way it go. Because I think now his babe is all up on Instagram, barely clothed, all these years later. And was Pippen that kind of guy that even in his relationships, he was still Mr. Nice? He was hoping that if I'm a great husband, my wife would never do X, Y, and Z. And I have no idea why they broke up. I read something like she was kicking it with Future, and this dude name seemed to come up with everybody in Hollywood, all the women. I don't know. But I still look at these guys and I look at Scottie Pippen and wonder first, how much of that was me? And how much of that some guys that may be watching this now, where you still think I'm going to be rewarded for the goodness I've done. You're not going to be. We need to have that Jordan in us where it's like, I'm going to win. If I have to let this one go and go get one that's younger, if I have to go make more kids, I'm going to win. I'm going to win this relationship. And I'd be honest, I think in the end, I think the wives respect us when we come with that level of game.